Right! Hey guys, how we doing? Back on another video from Annie News. I am so excited for this. This is Boss. Didn't realise these were dropping. Cut content videos for the Overlord movie. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was really freaking cool. And I've always loved checking Overlord cut content videos out. So, I know I've got loads to catch up on. This was not on my list at all. I didn't know it was going to happen, but I was just like, I've got to check it out. So, we're going to see. And it says episode 1, so I think there's going to be multiple good content videos of this. So as they're coming out, we're going to check them out. Let's get into it. Let's do this.
He might not have been met with the best reception, but perhaps I can make it better by filling in some of the gaps for you.
Oh, that's a shame. I didn't know that. I really loved this movie. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. It did seem a bit... I feel like if you didn't know where it fit, you're a bit like, what the hell is this film? But because I've checked out all the cut content videos from Annie News, and he's explained that there's a bit of a gap, and that's where the movie's at. It's like, it makes sense.
We'll be going through all the events of the movie and comparing them to the novel, so
Cool.
I expect multiple parts spanning across multiple videos.
Nice.
For now, we're gonna start things off with Demiurge's initial invasion of the kingdom.
Cool.
A very tense opener that introduces these two characters just to kill them immediately after.
Yeah.
It's the classic Overlord moment of these characters are supposed to be strong, but then they met Ainz.
Yo, yeah, like that moment was so freaking sick.
So, if you're looking to see
I forgot the names. Is his name Sebas? Sebas?
more of what this movie had to offer, stick around as this will cover all the fun and interesting details they missed.
So cool.
Let's get started.
Ah!
Part 1. The Evil Emperor Yaldabaoth, covering Chapter 1 of Volume 12 of the light novel. To start things off with our setting, this here is the Sacred Kingdom Roble.
The Roble
Ainz's
Holy
Sorcerer
Kingdom.
is located here, then in between you have the Slain Theocracy and the Demi-Human Enclave. The latter wasn't a territory claimed by any individual nation, but it was an area of hills home to a large number of demi-human tribes. Multiple species of them, most hostile towards humanity. They were also hostile towards themselves, so it was that infighting which allowed the Holy Kingdom to survive so long.
Right, because they're just killing each other. Alright, cool.
You see, if not for the constant conflict preventing these demi-humans from unifying, there was a good chance this 60-mile wall keeping them out never would have been completed. I mean, the need for a wall at all was a clear testament to how bad things must have been.
So if they weren't just killing each other, this wall wouldn't have been built, right?
Its construction would have been a natural development for any human nation though, since the gap in ability between subhumans and regular humans was immense. Like, you might think a weaker species like goblins weren't something to worry about, but even they could be troublesome when taking advantage of their innate abilities. Not to mention they weren't the only tribe of demi-humans. The others were most likely significantly stronger than humans, and quite a few were even born with an affinity towards the arcane.
Yeah, they do magic and stuff, not messing with that.
So, had this wall not been built and an invasion was to happen, there was no doubt the casualties in the kingdom would be immeasurable.
Really high, right?
It's the core reason why they went to such great lengths to fortify their defenses. They wanted to send the message that this land belonged to them, and they wanted their enemies to see to even try to attack would result in a very difficult fight. This, however, came with an extreme labor cost, since manning the entire wall would have been impossible. As much as they wanted to do so, it wasn't economically feasible to have so many soldiers on standby. To not be ready wasn't an option either, though, since a recent invasion attempt had bolstered their need to defend themselves. You see, after an eager tribe of demi-humans scaled the wall and made their way inland, numerous villages unfortunately fell victim to them. The invasion was actually so extensive that many believe these monsters are still present, lurking on the inside today.
Oh.
This in turn led the Sacred Kingdom to make some changes, the result of which was a series of forts. Each fort is placed at a fixed interval along the length of the wall.
Oh, okay.
They are garrisoned by enough soldiers to delay the enemy, then a group of them are supervised by a larger regional fortress. This was so in the event a fort did come under attack, all they needed to do was light a signal fire to request backup.
Right, and then they're right within proximity enough to do it right.
It was from there the other forts would send reinforcements, and the regular patrols between forts would know where to rush to.
I love the amount of thought that's gone into this from the guy. Wow.
It was this system that
You know, when you write something and you're like, I need to make it make sense. It's like, it's so cool. Detail. Unreal.
gated the demi-human attacks almost completely, giving the Sacred Kingdom some time of respite. For the leaders, this still wasn't enough to give them peace of mind yet, though, since to them, a stronghold wasn't enough to defend themselves. Now, what the king at the time wanted was total security.
That's the guy from Slime, isn't it? Yeah.
This gave birth to the National Mobilization Order,
The NMO.
and that was a decree that ordered the conscription of the kingdom's citizens. What this means is that whenever any person comes of age, they would be forced to undergo training and do mandatory service somewhere along the wall.
Oh.
This provided the kingdom the labor they needed to man the wall, allowed settlements of bigger sizes to defend themselves, and could even have them become military bases if necessary. So it was from this that the Sacred Kingdom had strengthened themselves both inside and out. They were a nation who had taken every precaution against invasion. All this was anchored by 3 very large fortresses, each stationed at the only entry points one could use along the wall. Most of the times they were used as gates, but if necessary, any could be used as a barracks. They were meant to house any number of citizen soldiers should the National Mobilization Order be invoked. So, it's one of these fortresses we find ourselves at here, currently manned by Orlando Campano and the squad he was in charge of.
Orlando Campano. What a name. Oh, okay.
His
Did we even get told his name in the film? Probably not, because like I said, they get pretty quick.
rank was that of squad leader, only below that of company leader and commander, while far above the lower ranks of trainee, soldier, and soldier first class. Orlando definitely could have risen to a rank higher than this, but despite having one of the most prestigious awards the kingdom could give him, he was held back by his own attitude. You see, Orlando was a man who hated taking orders, and as a warrior focused on strength and strength alone, he would only follow orders if they were given by someone stronger.
Oh, what a way to live! Like, wow, like I'm stronger than you, not listening to you. Bam.
This resulted in him clashing with nobles and superiors,
Yeah, you can imagine. Jesus Christ.
leading him to get demoted frequently.
I love it. He sounds class.
He'd actually been demoted a total of 10 times now. Now, normally this would get any soldier thrown out, but because Orlando was strong and had a certain attractive charisma, he was too valuable of an asset to just abandon.
God, ain't that the way? It's like, right, we're demoting you, but stay around. We need you. Oh God. It's like working in bloody anything. It's like, this guy's really good at his job. We need him around, but we need to kind of like, can't let him just do what he wants to do.
He brought order to other disruptive soldiers just like him, and that gained him a rank that was effectively outside the system. To others, Orlando was a kind of anomaly.
Cool.
It was at the end of Orlando's watch that Pobble would come to relieve him,
Pabble.
an interaction which would show a lot about both characters. Like, it's not surprising Pavel was a recipient of the same prestigious award Orlando was, but what is the fact Orlando was willing to show him respect. As it turns out, Pavel was one of the elite soldiers who had beat Orlando.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Orlando refused to quit until he won himself, but until then, he would respect Pavel as an equal.
Love it. So we're seeing that as a fact. He respects people that are stronger than him. This guy beat him in a fight. Okay, we see the respect.
Pavel was an expert in a different field entirely, though, as his specialty lay with the bow. His one weakness was conversations about his daughter, since the moment she was brought up, he wouldn't stop talking about her. This was a tough lesson Orlando had learned numerous times before, leading him to avoid it as best he could. For the times when he couldn't, Orlando knew he simply needed to listen attentively, then end it with either a compliment or a change of topic to something more important. What could possibly be more important than Nea? Well, that would be topics related to his work. The other option was to give Pavel a good smack, but Orlando didn't feel like embarrassing himself. He knew all too well what would happen should he try to fight Pavel.
Madness, because all this is like, this is the intro to the film, innit? And then like, wow.
It wasn't even the fact he was ranged that won him their last duel. Pavel had beat Orlando fighting close.
Oh, because that's not often as well. If you got the bow, it's usually like close combat is a no-go. But like, wow, this dude capable of obviously anything that Ainz throws at anyone is just OP.
So, for Orlando, who was once the arrogant warrior running the fort, it was the archer Pavel who had knocked him down a peg. All without using his bow either.
Didn't even use it. Jeez.
That's why Orlando has so much respect for him, and it's the reason he yearns to beat him in a duel on his terms. So, this brings us to a cutscene regarding his intent to leave the fort since, as he was now, Orlando wasn't happy with where he was at in life. Yes, he still wanted to beat Pavel, but he knew he couldn't do that here at the fortress. What he enjoyed most was fighting those stronger than him and getting stronger himself.
Oh, wrong person to try and bloody prove that against, though, innit? Jesus Christ.
He wasn't gonna leave if Pavel didn't want him to, though, since as the man he respected most, he would listen to anything he said. The thing is, with Orlando being a career soldier and not a conscript, Pavel knew he had no right to tell him to stay. As big of a gap a man of his caliber would leave, if Orlando wanted to go, Pavel wasn't going to stop him. That's when Pavel would bring up all the enemies he wouldn't have the opportunity to fight anymore, specifically a demi-human king that went by the name of the Breaker Lord.
The Breaker Lord.
Orlando had fought him once before, but after losing all his weapons and only winning because reinforcements arrived,
Wow.
that wasn't a fight he was satisfied with.
Yeah, because he didn't get the victory himself, right? Okay, yeah.
Orlando knew he'd probably lose if he fought him again, bringing up the notion he would need to be as strong as a hero to win. This then brought up the news of Gazef Stronov, specifically his defeat to a caster known as the King of Darkness.
God, and what a not fight that was. It was epic, but just like... You don't get many epic moments like that in anime, where like nothing really happens, but a lot happens. Like, that was so sick.
As shocking of a result as that was, the most surprising part was the fact a mage had fought him solo. It was very uncommon for a warrior to lose 1v1 against a spellcaster. The fact it happened was actually part of what spurred Orlando to want to train again, since it was clear he'd underestimated a lot of elements of combat. Before, he was always a strong advocate of might makes right, but Pavel and the King of Darkness had showed him otherwise, thus the reason he wanted to retrain himself. Unfortunately, training locally wasn't an option, since the only people worth fighting were one of the 9 colors just like him.
So we got Old Purple, Isandro Sanchez, what a name, Ransu and Rin, Remedios Custodio, Pavel, and then Enrique Belce.
They were all people of rank though, so there was no chance any would fight for real should they even face off against him. Where then did Orlando want to train? Well, he decided the best place was the Nation of Darkness. He had heard there were quite a few powerful undead there. The Sacred Kingdom wasn't particularly fond of this nation, but they weren't enemies with them either. At least not yet. Their strong stance against undead made them incompatible, but the enemy in the hills next to them was far more important than the enemy way beyond. That being the case, if Orlando wanted to go there, he probably could. That's not to say the Sacred Kingdom didn't have plans to fight the Nation of Darkness in the future, since as soon as the demi-humans were taken care of, they would be next. In fact, there were already plans to establish a united front with the Theocracy.
Yes. Look at that smug smile. He's... Ugh.
In any case, with Pavel being a bit disappointed his friend was leaving,
I can't believe there's so much about these guys. It's unreal.
the two would share a heartfelt moment promising to meet up again.
This is crazy that there's so much. Oh my god.
It was then that the bell would ring, indicating the sighting of demi-humans.
Here we go.
At first, everyone remained rather calm,
My god, we've had all that before this happens. This is insane.
since raids like these weren't uncommon. Usually, it was only a group of a few dozen, so that was a number those present should be able to deal with. When that number grew and expanded with numerous other demi-human races,
Oh my
a
goodness.
fearful thought entered everyone's minds. No one wanted to believe it, but this was a clear sign of a major invasion. Somehow the demi-humans had overcome the impossible and united together despite their differences culturally, religiously, and racially. The Sacred Kingdom never believed it could happen, but now that it did, they knew this was the beginning to a fight for their very existence.
That's Demiurge for you. He's just an absolute genius.
Orlando was actually the first to clue in on how this was possible, since unification between demi-humans required one single thing. For humans, wealth or knowledge could be that unifying factor, but for demi-humans, power was the most convincing.
Yeah, so someone needed to be that powerful.
So, if the demi-humans were showing up like this now, that meant there was a good chance someone very powerful was behind them. Someone bold enough to try to attack one-fifth
This
of the
guy.
Sacred Kingdom's army all at once. Luckily, a large attacking force like this would take a long time to mobilize, so that gave Pavel time to report things upward. It would take time for them to set things up too, though, especially if the higher-ups decided to invoke the National Mobilization Order. Strangely enough, though, the enemy didn't seem to rush to start the attack. For some reason, their mobilization took far longer than Pavel thought, and that gave them plenty of time to gather more and more soldiers into the fortress.
Of course, because Demiurge wants them all in. Bring them all in. I want to kill as many of them as I can. Break down as much of their army as they have. Throw them all at me.
The military leaders were more than happy to accept such an advantage, but for Pavel, he couldn't help but feel anxious. There was no way the demi-human leader didn't know the humans were gathering reinforcements, so it just didn't make sense why he was allowing it. It was only a matter of time before this leader would show himself, though, since it was in demi-human nature for the ruler to demonstrate their might. This would be the moment when Pavel would strike, making the most out of his longbow enchanted specifically to deal with demi-humans. He also had a plethora of gear, making him a silent assassin, all provided by the country that valued him so much.
Deflection ring.
So,
he had all sorts of cool stuff.
The moment this leader showed himself, it was a shoot first, ask questions later type situation.
Of course.
Now, it was when the preparation seemed to be coming to an end that the fortress's sole tier 3 spellcaster would report back after having scouted the enemy formation with flight. He confirmed that the threat was imminent, and that led Pavel to do his pre-battle ritual. It was a simple gesture of love towards a wooden doll his daughter had made for him. This spurred memories regarding their relationship, specifically their growth apart over the years. You see, with his lengthy shifts and her desire to become a paladin, the two would see each other less and less. Eventually, it got to the point that she didn't seem very much interested in him anymore.
Oh.
That much was natural considering how absent he'd been, but what bothered Pavel the most was her misguided intent to become a paladin. As someone who'd watched her his entire life, Pavel knew her being a paladin was the last thing she was suited for. She only wanted to do it because her mother was one.
Oh.
So, while on the inside,
wow, we're learning so much.
Pavel truly believed paladins were just a bunch of fanatics. That was a truth he could never bring to tell his daughter. He would instead have to stand by and watch her pursue a path he didn't agree with. Now, it was once Demiurge made his appearance that all archers would wait for Pavel's instruction. The reason they didn't shoot right from the get-go was because this was a demi-human they'd never seen before. Not only that, but the outfit he was wearing was immaculate.
Yeah, he looks very smart, doesn't he? And it's like, what's going on? Yeah.
It was a well-tailored, well-designed fit, unbefitting those typically worn by demi-humans.
God, Demiurge is so freaking cool. I love him.
This implied a demi-human with an advanced subculture, making his presence even more troublesome. When it came to the initial warning here, this was given by one of the Sacred Kingdom's only 5 generals, and he did so pretty much alone, just in case an attack happened to be directed at him. It was a safe tactic intended to prevent the fort from losing all its military planners.
Oh.
Demiurge would then introduce himself as the Demon Emperor Yaldabaoth. He would quickly mention his hiccup in the Riestes Kingdom, then proclaim his intent to bring despair and destruction.
I came because I want to turn this country into hell. Damn. I'd like to make this place a fun sort of nation where shrieks, curses, and wails echo without end. But when millions of humans are involved, I can't take the time to toy with each of you individually. That's why I brought the others. They will lower you human weaklings into the swamp of despair up to your necks, drawing out sobs of grief and supplication on my behalf.
His words were filled with such wholehearted malice that, for the first time, Pavel understood what it meant to truly be evil. It was a message so foul that, upon hearing it, a primal fear overwhelmed his entire body. The commander and Demiurge would then share a few more comments back and forth, then Demiurge would finish it up with a statement saying surrender was unacceptable.
Damn.
For him, all he wanted was to be entertained.
Complete annihilation.
This would be the moment Pavel would launch his surprise attack, a series of 51 arrows all enchanted with various elements.
Damn.
Every single one struck their target without fail, but still Yaldabaoth endured all without flinching. Not only that, but the arrows which should have made impact simply fell as if they didn't. It was an outcome that made it clear Yaldabaoth had some type of immunity. This meant victory now depended on trying different arrows to gather information, but it was before Pavel could loose his next Holy One that Demiurge would unleash the 10th tier magic Meteor Fall.
God damn, unreal. Just unreal.
It was an attack which would kill Pavel instantly. It was before he was engulfed by its blinding heat, though, that for a brief moment, Pavel would see his wife and daughter. They would be the last things he saw and thought about before he died.
That's nice.
This is where the story switches focus over to Demiurge, who, after careful planning, made sure this assault wasn't to be hindered by anyone like those who once invaded Nazarick. They were the type of humans who could fight on even after seeing his magic, and that was an outcome he wished to avoid. Now, you may think this attack was meant to collapse their defenses and stir confusion, but really it was simply for Demiurge to save energy. That's why he didn't attack again or send the demi-humans in immediately after. He was simply content with laying the groundwork for the demi-humans to do the rest. Keep in mind, Demiurge's true value lay in his skills, so to see him use one of his 2 10th tier spells was a rarity. It might not have been necessary, but it was definitely the most efficient way of pushing his plans forward. It was after that he could turn his back and not even worry about a counterattack, since Demiurge knew such an outcome wasn't even a possibility.
Yeah, ain't no one doing nothing.
It was a trait specific to him that ensured victory was always inevitable. He knew he was one of the weaker floor guardians, but when it came to a fight, Demiurge had no doubt he could win against any of them.
Which is crazy. It's so crazy when you think about that. Like, Demiurge, you got Shaltir, and you've got Albedo. Are these all stronger than Demiurge as well? I'm trying to remember what the ranking is. It's been so long since I've done any Overlord related content. Is Cocytus stronger than Demiurge? I don't want to say he is. Actually, no, I think he is. Oh, I can't remember. Yeah, I think he's just like the smartest, which gives him kind of an advantage over everyone. Levels him out. Shaltir's definitely stronger. Albedo's definitely stronger. I do want to say Cocytus as well, but maybe as well.
Reason being that he was of the understanding a fight should only be started after victory was assured already. That being the case, unless he was ordered to otherwise, Demiurge wouldn't partake in a fight that he wasn't certain he would win.
Right, what a
There was
dangerous
also
man.
one person he knew he could never beat no matter how much time he had, since to him this person had a greater intellect, was incomparably crafty, and possessed foresight that stretched into eternity. When compared to that, Demiurge knew that he was nothing. Now, there was one unexpected event that went to surprise him, and that was the charge of Orlando. A quick analysis revealed he was no threat, had no importance, and wasn't even part of the calculations to begin with.
Damn.
So, as trash only made prettier by his prestigious 9 Colors title, Demiurge figured he would be useful to experiment on. For Orlando, he was enraged by the fact the man he wanted to beat was dead, but for Demiurge, this slow, straightforward charge made him disappointed. He was genuinely upset that he had to wait for such a slow attack announced from so far away. That being the case, Demiurge had all the time in the world to remember who it was that was challenging him, as well as figure out the best way to dispose of him.
Oh, damn it.
It was a comprehensive thought process that eventually led to the gruesome fate we saw in the anime. So, this is about as classic of an Overlord moment as you can get, since that was about 70 pages building up these 2 characters and their relationships, yet in only 10, both were eliminated like insects.
Unreal how much that it's blown. This video has blown my mind.
They do, however, tie to Nea's character later, so it's not like knowing about them was pointless.
Yeah, like, this is so interesting.
It's just so interesting whenever moments like these do happen. Now, to wrap things up with Demiurge's actions after, his army was divided into 2 categories. There were those who gladly submitted to him and followed him out of the opportunity to kill humans, then there were the others who followed him out of fear. The latter was the ones he sent in first, thus the reason he was so strong-armed with them.
Damn, so the ones that were scared he just threw in. Like, wow.
Both sides were told of a happy outcome awaiting should they obey his orders, and that for the most part was enough to get excellent results here. For the times it didn't, there was always an appropriate future awaiting them too. Either way, Demiurge's plans were multifaceted to the point that he could plan for everything. He was always considerate of any developments and had numerous contingency plans for the cases when they happened. All were meant to achieve his goals in the best way possible. The one thing he couldn't account for was the actions of fools, but that was something only Ainz could predict. It was a level Demiurge hoped he could one day get to. As he was now, though, he could only hope Ainz would be happy with the current plans he was putting forth. His deepest desire now was for the people of the Sacred Kingdom to entertain Ainz the way he wanted them to. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the opener. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing more of Overlord, and
Yeah, I love this, and that is unreal how much was left out from the opening of the movie.
if you want to see more, then be sure to leave a like and comment. Also, if you're looking for a series with just as much lore and world building, check out my videos on Lord of Mysteries too. It's an isekai that honestly has a lot of the same aura farming that Ainz does, so I really think some of you might like it. But anyway, until next time.
Ciao. Wow, I can't believe that much was left out of those two. I mean, I kind of get why you would make that decision to do that if you're turning it into a movie. It's like, you got these two characters. Grand scheme of things, we don't really need to know a lot about them. Just have them there, kill them off. But, like, to have that much thought into everything going on in the initial, writing is just brilliant. I love that it's not lazy writing. I love that the person that made Overlord thought about absolutely everything, and everything kind of makes sense because of that. So that was cool, and I'm onto it. And Lord of Mysteries, I do want to check that out, and I do want to check out the content videos as well. I got so much to check out, guys, so just bear with me. But I'm really enjoying getting back into this. So yeah, in this house that I have bought, that is mine, I can do anything with. Just weird thought, still trying to get around that. I'm looking at this building, and I'm like, I could put a shelf there, a shelf here, and I could put Funko Pops, blah, blah, blah. And it's just trying to get to grasp that because I've always rented. It's madness. But anyway, thanks for watching.